What would you do if your life was falling apart, your career was in serious trouble, and then, completely by accident, you found yourself invited to the wildest weekend of your life? Would you walk away, or would you take the opportunity and jump into the chaos? That is the basic idea behind 72 Hours, Netflix's new comedy starring Kevin Hart. And just from the title, you can probably guess what kind of movie this is. 3 days. One crazy weekend. A group of young guys. A lot of bad decisions. And one older man who is desperately trying to prove that he can still keep up. But does 72 Hours actually deliver the kind of hilarious, chaotic comedy that Kevin Hart fans are expecting? Or is it another Netflix movie that looks entertaining in the trailer but becomes forgettable once the credits start rolling? Let's talk about it. And don't worry, this review is mostly spoiler-free. The movie follows Joe, a successful advertising executive whose professional life is beginning to fall apart. Joe is at a point where he desperately needs something to go right. His career is under pressure, his personal life is complicated, and he is beginning to realize that the life he built may not be as stable as he thought. Then, completely by accident, Joe gets connected to a group of younger guys who are planning an insane bachelor party weekend in Miami. Now, under normal circumstances, Joe would probably realize that this is a mistake and move on. But Joe sees an opportunity. Instead of correcting the situation, he decides to join the group. And that decision launches him into 72 hours of parties, chaos, misunderstandings, bad decisions, and situations that become more ridiculous with every passing hour. The basic premise is simple. Can a 40-year-old man survive a weekend with a group of 20-somethings? And more importantly, can he survive the consequences of trying to act like he still belongs in their world? That generational difference becomes the main engine of the movie. Joe does not understand the way these younger characters communicate. He does not understand their lifestyle. He does not understand their priorities. And most importantly, he definitely does not understand why they keep making decisions that are obviously going to create bigger problems. But instead of leaving, Joe continues to get deeper and deeper into the situation. And that is where the comedy begins. Let's talk about the biggest reason most people will watch this movie. Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart has built an entire comedy style around playing characters who are confident 1 minute and completely terrified the next. He is usually the guy who talks too much, reacts too dramatically, and somehow manages to make every situation 10 times worse. And in 72 Hours, that familiar formula is once again on display. But the reason it still works is Kevin Hart's energy. He has excellent comedic timing. Even when the joke itself is predictable, his reaction can make the moment funny. A look, a scream, a sudden change in confidence, or the way he tries to pretend that everything is under control while clearly panicking inside. That is classic Kevin Hart. The movie understands that his biggest strength is not necessarily the situation itself. It is his reaction to the situation. And when Joe is surrounded by complete chaos, Kevin Hart gets plenty of opportunities to do what he does best. But Kevin Hart is not carrying the entire movie alone. The younger cast plays an important role in creating the group dynamic. The characters have different personalities, and that helps prevent the group from feeling like one giant character. Some are more responsible. Some are completely reckless. Some are trying to enjoy the weekend. And others seem to be making every possible decision that could make the situation worse. That creates a nice contrast with Joe. Because while Joe is trying to act like he belongs with them, the younger characters are often the ones forcing him to confront the fact that he may not actually be prepared for this lifestyle anymore. The chemistry is not perfect in every scene, but when the entire group is together, the movie becomes much more entertaining. The best moments often come from the group reacting to the same ridiculous situation in completely different ways. Now let's talk about the comedy. 72 Hours is not a subtle movie. This is not a slow, intelligent comedy built around clever conversations. It is loud, it is fast, it is chaotic, and it is clearly designed to give viewers an easy, entertaining movie night experience. The humor comes from awkward situations, bad decisions, generational differences, physical comedy, and characters constantly making problems worse. Some of the jokes work extremely well, others feel predictable, and there are definitely moments where you can see the punchline coming before it arrives. That is probably the movie's biggest weakness. The concept itself is not completely new. We've seen older characters trying to fit into younger groups before. We've seen bachelor party comedies before. We've seen characters make one bad decision after another. So for a movie like this to truly stand out, the comedy needs to feel fresh. And 72 Hours does not always achieve that. Sometimes it feels like the movie is following a familiar formula. The characters enter a crazy situation. The situation becomes even crazier. Someone makes another terrible decision, and then everyone has to deal with the consequences. That structure can be entertaining, but after a while, some viewers may feel like they have seen this type of comedy before. One thing that does help the movie is its setting. The story takes place during a wild weekend in Miami, and the location gives the film plenty of energy.
All right, let's
The parties,
do this. There
the
he
nightlife, the
is!
beaches, the expensive homes, and the overall atmosphere make the movie feel bright and fast-moving. Visually, the movie has the kind of colorful style you expect from a modern party comedy, and that is important because the story is built around movement. The characters are constantly going somewhere. They are constantly getting into new situations, and the movie wants the audience to feel like this entire weekend is one long, uncontrollable adventure. Miami is a perfect setting for that. The location gives the film a sense of freedom and excess, and it makes the weekend feel bigger than just a group of people hanging out in one place. But surprisingly, 72 Hours also has a little more emotional depth than you might expect. Underneath the parties and the jokes, Joe is dealing with a real personal problem. He is not simply joining this group because he wants to have fun. He is also trying to escape the pressure of his normal life. His career is in trouble. His confidence is being challenged. And he is beginning to question whether the life he built is actually making him happy. That gives the movie a little more heart. Joe may begin the weekend with his own agenda, but as the story continues, his relationship with the group begins to change. The people he initially sees as immature and irresponsible may actually teach him something about himself. And Joe, in return, may have more to offer them than he initially realizes. The emotional side of the movie is not incredibly deep. This is still a comedy first. But it does give the story more substance than simply watching a group of people party for 3 days. The movie also benefits from the experience of director Tim Story. Tim Story understands how to create comedy around strong personalities, and he knows how to give Kevin Hart enough space to dominate a scene without allowing the entire movie to become completely disconnected from the story. The film has the familiar rhythm of a big studio comedy. There are the setup scenes, the escalating problems, the increasingly ridiculous situations, and eventually, the emotional consequences of everything that happened. It is a formula. But when the formula is executed well, it can still be fun. And 72 Hours is at its best when it focuses on the chemistry between the characters instead of trying too hard to create the biggest possible comedy moment. So, is 72 Hours worth watching? I think the answer depends on what you expect from it. The story is familiar, some of the jokes are predictable, and certain characters could have been developed more. But if you want a fast, easy-to-watch Netflix comedy with Kevin Hart, a colorful Miami setting, a chaotic weekend, and plenty of ridiculous situations, then the movie delivers enough entertainment to justify the watch. Kevin Hart brings his usual energy. The younger
Joe,
cast
the Q3
creates
report
some
is completely
enjoyable
messed
group
up.
I'll handle
chemistry.
it.
The movie moves quickly. Is it perfect?
I know the numbers look
no.
low.
Is it original?
But I
Not
have a
always.
plan.
But is
We
it
can do this.
entertaining?
I am the right person
For the
this
right
job.
audience, absolutely. For me, 72 Hours gets a 6 out of 10. It is energetic, funny in places, and easy to watch. But it also feels familiar, and it does not always take enough risks to become something truly memorable. The movie works best when Kevin Hart is reacting to complete chaos, and it is weakest when the comedy feels like something we've already seen before. but now I want to hear from you. Have you watched 72 Hours on Netflix yet? Did Kevin Hart's new comedy make you laugh? Or do you think he needs to move away from his usual loud, chaotic comedy style? Let me know your rating in the comments. And if you want more movie reviews, Hollywood updates, trailer breakdowns, and spoiler-filled discussions, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. And if you want me to make a full spoiler breakdown of 72 Hours, comment 72 hours below.